Hey, this is Matt once again. What about another video? This is a paid request this time for Jonathan. First off, I want to thank Jonathan. You've been very generous. Thank you so much for that. I'll try to get your reviews done as soon as I can. Second off, for those interested in requesting pretty much any type of video, feel free to send it either directly to my PayPal or join my Patreon. Both links are down below in the info box. Now, this is for the 2009 film Imagine That. Now, if you're wondering why I have this DVD, this is back to the day when I was trying to collect a whole filmography of certain actors because, number one, I was in a collector mindset, which I'm not anymore. I mean, this is quite a few years ago. And plus, there's a lot more places and sites where you do find films for dirt cheap. I mean, there was a place called Go Hastings online where you can find films for $2, $3. And if you buy enough of them, you get free shipping, sometimes $4. There'd be stores nearby where movies would be $3. And if you wait long enough, they'd be $1.50. And a lot of times, some of these movies were just like, okay, you know, I haven't seen the film at that point. It's cheaper than renting it. Although I worked at a video store for a while. But it's like, you know, for the collection, watching my own leisure. And ever since I first saw this to now, I think this is a really lame movie. It's a very lame film. It's the Eddie Murphy family shtick where he plays the dad who is a workaholic and doesn't have enough time for his kid, and the whole lesson is that he learns to find more time for his kid. He learns the lesson that working is good, but caring about your kids is more. I mean, this is stuff that has been done a million times in a variety of movies. Even Kevin Smith did it in a film called Jersey Girl. I mean, Eddie Murphy did that more than once. The Haunted Mansion, he's a workaholic who realizes family's more important. 1,000 Words. Once again, he's a workaholic and he realizes family's more important. This film, he's a workaholic, realizes family's more important. At least Daddy Daycare, he was actually a pretty good dad who had a pretty good relationship with his son, and despite not all the humor working the best for me, I actually like Daddy Daycare. I actually think that's one of the Eddie Murphy family films I can enjoy and have fun with. It's not a favorite Eddie Murphy film, but of those, the era, like Daddy Daycare, I can watch. And I can see why that was actually more of a hit compared to films like this, which this film came and went and was a complete bomb. And what's even more confusing is the people who wrote this. Ed Solomon and Chris Matheson. If those names sound familiar, these are the guys that wrote Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, which had creativity, which had imagination, and this doesn't have it. I can understand maybe if you're a father and you have a daughter and you watch this and maybe you see a bit yourself in it and you get some easy fun to be had. At least it's not a film that's filled with fart jokes and pee jokes. It's rated PG. Eddie Murphy, I don't think gives a bad performance. It's just the script is such a lukewarm script, especially from the guys who made Bill and Ted films. At least the first two, the two good ones. Writing that stuff. And I definitely don't agree with Eddie Murray's best movie in years, Jeffrey Lyons of KNBC. I don't know what you mean by that. I don't think it's that funny. It's not that interesting. The whole premise is Eddie Murphy is a financial advisor. And again, he's a guy who's separated from his wife. And his 7-year-old daughter, Yara Shahidi, has this blanket called the Gouda. I mean, the opening is Eddie Murphy yelling to get a blanket. And you sit there, you know, this is a guy from Eddie Murphy's Raw, 48 Hours, Beverly Hills Cop, The Golden Child, which is a favorite of mine, has resorted to screaming at the top of his lungs to get his blanket and to get his Gouda. Woosah. And then 1 week earlier, it goes to what built up that way. It's just embarrassing. I don't know what kids are doing. Like, here's the thing. Also, who is this for? Kids are not going to care about the financial advisory board meetings where people are trying to get over each other for a job. The kids are not going to be interested with that. And adults are not going to be interested about a blanket that, okay, takes people to a fantasy world that you don't see. So for all I know, this kid is a head case that needs a psychiatrist, stat, needs a head shrink. And this girl obviously has issues and needs some psychiatric help, and no one wants to help. Or you got Thomas Hayden Church playing this strange character where he's Johnny Whitefeather doing these absolute stereotypical Native American things, like trying to talk in these whimsical ways of, you're my fellow salmon swimming upstream, and what the hell else did he say? That's shadow time. Keep that in the shadows. And how. Like, stuff that, this is, people could call this racist. And then finally, Martin Sheen, who's in the film that shows up at the end, at least calls out Thomas Hayden Church and goes, you're not even Native American. You're like 1/32nd. You're not even a real Native American. I'm like, it took you this long for people to figure it out? You know what I kept looking at Thomas Hayden Church? The one thing I kept thinking of is, you know what? If they recast Ernest P. Worrell, which they should never do, Jim Varney is Ernest, always will be Ernest, put those films out on a Blu-ray set. Re-release Ernest Dear Stupid on Blu-ray, put Ernest Saves Christmas on Blu-ray, let's get a Blu-ray set and a documentary. I don't know what happened to that Jim Varney documentary that's supposed to be told, but I kept thinking, like, if for some dumb reason they did it, Thomas Hayden Church might actually be a good Ernest P. Worrell. But nowhere near as good as Jim Varney. But I'm just saying, gun to my head, you had to pick, maybe Thomas Hayden Church could be Ernest P. Worrell. But again, don't do it. But if you did do it, he'd probably be the guy that picked. That's the only thing I kept thinking about. So Eddie Murphy's trying to deal with his daughter. The daughter always has his blanket. He takes the blanket away, and then she screams bloody murder. And apparently it's not the kid's fault. It's the dad's fault. The absentee dad, because apparently you can't work hard and be a parent at the same time. Or working too hard is too bad. I mean, can't you do both? Does it always have to be, you have to choose one or the other? I mean, it's the same typical cliche 85 times done. That's why it's so strange that the guys who made such a unique idea, Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, I don't know many films about two kids or two teens going back in time in a phone booth to get historical figures for a book report because somehow their music's going to save the universe and or the world. Or but you find out, no, that's not the case. It's their daughters, because Bill and Ted 3 did. I hate Bill and Ted 3. Anyway, Eddie Murphy, I don't think he gives a bad performance. It's just a very... I mean, even in films like this, Eddie Murphy's Eddie Murphy. It's just... lackluster direction by Terry Kirkpatrick, the director of Over the Hedge, which the only thing I remember that is Bruce Willis voices one of the main characters. I mean, I don't remember Over the Hedge, whether I liked it or not, but it's not like considered a classic. It was cool that Ronnie Cox is in the film, so you have a Beverly Hills Cop reunion with Eddie Murphy and Ronnie Cox. That's cool. Ronnie Cox plays Eddie Murphy's boss. Eddie Murphy's either being a jerk or the little kid is just being bizarre, and at times her performance tries to be so sugary sweet it makes your teeth rot. Like doing this, I did too much sugar in my teeth. So that's saying it's either too sugary sweet, my teeth are ready to rot, or it's so cliche, it's easily predictable. Like, you know that once the kid mentions there's this concert that she's going to sing, you know what's going to happen. Eddie Murphy's going to do something bad, and the kid's going to be mad at him, and then Eddie Murphy's going to be at the meeting, and then he's going to have a choice between his job and his kid. He's going to choose his kid. He's going to get to his kid's recital, or concert, or play, or whatever the else you want to plug into there. I mean, Jersey Girl with Tim Smith did the same thing. Literally, Ben Affleck has a choice between this job or his kid's play, rushes off to get to his kid's play. That's literally the same ending. I mean, this literally has the same ending as Jersey Girl did, and that was what, 2004 or something? I mean, and there's plenty of movies that did that way before. Plenty. So I did. You got Thomas Hayden Church trying to be this Native American, once guy or such, just being bizarre. He has to take his kid in. She draws on his worksheets. He gets mad and pissy about it. Then when he gets so frustrated with Thomas Hayden Church, one of the few lines I got a chuckle out of was when Eddie Murphy was getting so mad at Thomas and saying, what does that mean? Okay, Johnny. What's a fraud, Johnny? A short snake? Like, just the way Eddie Murphy delivered that, I thought, this is a pro. This is a guy that's like, I'm a big fan of Eddie Murphy. This is why it's disheartening to see stuff like Coming to America 2, or in this era of seeing films like this and Meet Dave and 1,000 Words. I'm like, this guy is so talented, and this material is just so lame. I love The Golden Child. It's my favorite comedy of all time. I love Beverly Hills Cop 1 and 2. I love Metro. I think is very underrated. I like The Distinguished Gentleman. I like Showtime, even, Bullfinger. And these were films that he was doing because, number one, some of them were making money. Shrek films were making money. Daddy Daycare made money. Number two, he was growing up with kids and, wanted to make different directions. Number three, his R-rated material was flopping. I mean, Metro, sadly, was a big flop. So go where the money's going. Dr. Dolittle films made money. Night Professor films are not really family films, but, they're PG-13. So go more in that direction. But then even that was not working. Meet Dave, 1,000 Words, this movie, big bombs, as they deserved. So, again, this little girl puts on her blanket and she talks to imaginary people, and they give her financial company information, and then gives to Eddie, and then Eddie's able to go up the corporate ladder. Again, I don't know why they thought that plot would appeal to kids. It's like Nintendo making Wall Street Kid, because a lot of kids want to talk about Wall Street and play video games about the Wall Street. All the kids out there love, talking about Wall Street or financial advisory and financial board meetings. They all love that. The kids love that. No, they get bored out of their minds. Daddy Daycare, that plot made sense for kids. This, no. And then as an adult, you don't get to see the imaginary points. There's a part of me that almost wanted to see the imaginary, what the kids saw. And it actually somehow opened up this world for Eddie Murphy to see. Maybe people go, that would miss the point, that'd be ridiculous. It's already ridiculous. At least that could give me something funny for Eddie Murphy to react to. Give me a little taste of the golden child type of everyday man in extraordinary situation. I think Eddie Murphy would be a lot more wondering how she got this power, how this blanket is working, Like, he listens to her and kind of quickly, after finding out what she said was right, is understanding and be like, okay, I'll go along with this. Like, he seems to go along with it fairly easily. Now, wondering, what is this blanket? How do you know? When you go in here, is there danger? Are you okay? Or is this some kind of Mercury Rising type thing where she's some kind of savant or some kind of is like phenomenon with there's some kind of tumor? Like, I don't know. Like, who knows what could be going on? Phenomenon with John Travolta, I'm talking about. Like, he doesn't worry about any of that. Doesn't worry about if there's something wrong with his kid. How is she able to see this? Nope. Just, hey, let's make pancakes with ketchup, mustard, and hot sauce. Let's have Eddie Murphy waltzing through the street. And like I said, if you're a father and you have a daughter, you may find some sweetness in this with Eddie Murphy bonding with the little girl. The little girl is doing what she can with the material. I was annoyed by her, but I don't think it's her acting. It's just the way she was written. I didn't try to be very. I don't do well with kids. What can I say? There are certain kid actors I don't mind, but sometimes, even though it's not their fault, they just get on my nerves. Da-da-da-da-da. Eddie Murphy trying to sing, please let me pass, please let me pass. With all these things, Zappada and Dappada and Dippity Doo and Dippity Doo Da, Zippity Doo Da, Zippity Day. So at one point, Eddie Murphy tries to steal the blanket, and the kid's like, what, do you want that more than me? Like, did you spend time with me to spend time with me, or did you spend time with me to get the blanket? But what's the point of Eddie Murphy getting the blanket if he can't see the stuff anyway? Like, he's not able to see the stuff, right? That's why he has to keep asking her about stuff. So what's the point of getting the blanket if he can't see it, and if he can't hear it? Then what is that going to do for his meetings? Like, I want the blanket, I want the gouda. Again, you can't see it. You can't hear it. So what's the point of it? Of you wanting the blanket? What's the blanket going to do for him? He can't see or hear anything of it. Or hell, the script could have done this back and forth of, is it in her mind and she's very smart because she picked up on her father's job and she just had a hankering for it and some kind of savant for it? Or is it actually some imaginary place that she's able to see and able to visualize some other world? It could be like Harvey, or what was it from Jimmy Stewart? Is he actually seeing the big rabbit or is he not? And you found out there actually is a big rabbit. You don't see it, but you see it opening stuff. And no, instead it just goes the typical route where, again, I just told you the ending, but you could predict the ending 10 minutes in. Like I said, I guess maybe people with kids, they'll watch it, they'll feel good because of father-daughter. But again, it's that typical father, overworked, workaholic, doesn't have time. Because again, apparently you can't do both. It's just a cliche that's been done so many times, and it didn't bring anything new to material. And the whole imaginary blanket thing was not much of a gimmick or not much of a story strong point to get people into the theaters, or that at least keep me as a viewer engaged. So it's Eddie Murphy trying. And either, again, they make his character too much of a jerk, or again, just being so sugary sweet. And it just, Eddie Murphy can only do so much with the PG rating. And again, it's just like, I don't know what else to say. It just, I don't know what's hilarious about this. Pat Collins. Like, what parts of this are supposed to be hilarious? I don't know. Somehow there's a commentary with the director and the little girl. Breakout star. Yeah, what happened to Yara Shahidi? Since you say a breakout star, what happened to her? Kind of like that little girl in Jersey Girl. What happened to her? What are they doing now? I don't know what they're doing now. Do you know what they're doing now? I don't know what they're doing now. It's not their fault. They're a little kid. They didn't write the script. They didn't have a lackluster director. Like I said, I don't know what would the appeal be for the masses for this movie. I guess if you're a diehard Eddie Murphy fan and you want to see him do a family film, but again, just a magic blanket. But it's supposed to be about a father, but and even then, it's just there's nothing that deep about it. The script doesn't get that emotional about it. Just very much playing up the cliches. Race Against Time, they get to the kids' recital, or whatever the hell. Like I said, I don't think Eddie Murphy gave a bad performance. I keep repeating that because he got like a Razzie nomination for bad performance. No, it's not because of Eddie Murphy's performance. It's the material he's given. There's not much there. I mean, even if he had Jim Carrey or whoever, they wouldn't have made this work. There's only so much you could do about a magic blanket that a girl can only see and hear whatever happens with it. And like I said, I don't know what jokes were supposed to be funny. I guess just Eddie Murphy trying to be goofy with "Please let me pass" and not eating ketchup mustard filled pancakes. I mean, even for a family film, it just comes off as lousy, unfunny, predictable, cliche, and flat out boring. So, that's just me. So, with that said, thanks for watching. Take care. We'll see you guys later.